Today I'm going to show you how Toyota built the best four-wheel drive system in the entire world using this super cool feature no one ever talks about. But first, a word from this month's sponsor.
It took a while to get up here. We started out around 1959. But we didn't do all that just to get here. We did it to give you a truck that'll take you anywhere. This is the new Nissan.
The world of four-wheel drive and off-road can be big, confusing, and complicated, but we're going to simplify it today with real-world demonstrations on how a four-wheel drive system works and why Toyota's is one of the best. Now, of course, four-wheel drive seems like a simple concept. Apply power to all four wheels at the same time and get through anything. However, in reality, it never works like that. In most four-wheel drive trucks and SUVs, the vehicle will operate in two-wheel drive on an everyday basis, typically rear-wheel drive, and then when you need four-wheel drive, you pull a lever or you flick a switch, and that will activate the front wheels. Welcome to the TFL slip test. Now we're going to get various wheels on this 4Runner stuck on purpose to see how the four-wheel drive system and the traction aids work to get us unstuck, and we're going to play with all the buttons and all the different features. Now as a control, we're going to start with the rear wheel slip test. We're going to get both rear wheels stuck in the rollers, and then we're going to get stuck. We'll probably have to put it in four-wheel drive to get us unstuck, engage that front axle. So right now I'm in too high rear wheel drive. I'm going to let off the brake onto the throttle, and you can see wheels are spinning. Traction control is trying to figure out what to do, but there's not much it can do because both wheels are completely stuck. So I'm gonna flick this knob into four-wheel drive high. That should engage the front axle, and then we should get unstuck rather easily. A little bit of accelerator, and as you can see, just like that, we got unstuck. It's worth noting though, you're not spinning all four wheels at the same speed because your car will never turn. When you make a turn, the inside wheels spin a lot slower than the outside wheels, and if you lock them all at the same speed, well, your car is just going to want to go straight. Now the solution to this problem, of course, is to incorporate open differentials in the front and the back so that the left and the right wheels can spin at different speeds when you make a turn. This, however, leads to problems off-road because there's a lot of events where you'll pick up a wheel in the air or one wheel will fall into a hole, and then that wheel will spin fast while the wheel that has traction, well, that's just going to stay stationary. All right, so next up we have the diagonal slip test, and to demonstrate the difference between the Toyota 4Runner system and a old school traditional four-wheel drive system, what we have here is a Ford Explorer 1991, and this is just an old school basic four-wheel drive with no electronics, no special buttons, no special modes, and we're going to see how it does on the diagonal slip test. So the left front and the right rear are going to be stuck in the rollers. Because this vehicle is open diffs, the wheels that are in the rollers are going to spin and spin and spin, and the wheels that have traction are just going to sit there and do nothing. Okay, releasing the clutch, wheels are spinning, spinning a lot now, and we're not going anywhere. Now, as you can see with this Ford Explorer, when opposite wheels are stuck in the rollers, the vehicle is basically stuck, right? Those wheels are going to spin and spin and spin and spin and spin, but the vehicle is not going to make any forward momentum because the torque applied to the wheels on the ground is actually equal to the torque applied to the wheels that are in the air, or in this case, in the rollers, and that is a very, very, very loose surface. So the vehicle is just going to remain stationary. All right, let's talk about a real-world application of the TFL slip test. So we are here in the Onyx Off-Road Andres Pit Course, and we're going to tackle trenches, which is this very articulated section where we're going to pick up wheels. And here's what I think is going to happen. The wheels are going to go in the air in this 91 Explorer, and they're just going to spin and spin and spin, but we're probably not going to make any forward movement. So we're going to get articulated here. And you can see the wheels are spinning. It's thinking about it, but we're not going anywhere. There are a couple of solutions to this. The first, and probably the most obvious, are locking differentials, a button or a switch where you can manually lock both the right and the left tires together at the same speed. And this is a great solution, but a lot of the times, especially from the factory perspective, it's expensive, it adds complexity, it adds weight, and a lot of consumers are never ever going to use that function, so why include it? So how do you control wheel slip and wheel spin without a locking differential? Well, that's where traction control comes in. Now, traction control, or TCS, or ASR as the Germans like to say, which stands for Antreibschulfungelung. Anyways, you get the point. Traction control is one of those things that car enthusiasts love to hate, because we've all been on a racetrack or a drag strip where you're really on the edge of grip and you hit the throttle and then it seems like the car is big brothering you. It takes control and it cuts accelerator and you're like, oh, I hate this, and the first thing you do is go to push it to turn it off. But when you're in an off-road situation, traction control can be one of the most beneficial things out there, because traction control can modulate wheel speed using individual brakes and essentially simulate a locking differential. Now, traction control is nothing new. It's actually been around for over 50 years. The first example of traction control in a mass market car came in 1971. Buick had an option for a system called Max Track, which it was a very rudimentary traction control system, but it was available on the Riviera, the Electra, that kind of thing. And then in 1979, Cadillac introduced something called the traction monitoring system, but really traction control really took hold in the late 1980s, and now, well, it's mandatory in all new cars sold here in the US. So what we're going to do to demonstrate how traction control works is we're going to get the Toyota 4Runner stuck on purpose in our roller test. And this is a really cool thing. It's a way to simulate snow, ice, off-road conditions without actually being in snow, ice, or off-road conditions. And then to take it a step further, I'm going to show you in the real world how good this system is. All right, now for the diagonal slip test. So the right rear and the left front wheels are stuck completely in the rollers. This vehicle does have open differentials, so I've gone into four-wheel drive low. Now, four-wheel drive low doesn't give you any additional traction. That's a common misconception, but it does give you more control, and it will allow us to play with some cool features on this 4Runner. So I'm gonna go four-wheel drive low, no special modes. We're stuck in the rollers, into drive. Okay, so the wheels are spinning. Now a little bit of accelerator. Now you can see that the Toyota 4Runner appears to perform similarly to the Ford Explorer. This model does not have the optional rear locking differential. It's got open diffs and it will continue to spin and spin and spin. But Toyota has a special button that no one really talks about, no one ever thinks about, called A-Track. It's hidden up on the center console in this 4Runner. It stands for active traction control, and when you push it, the computers really start working to sense wheel spin and then clamp down extremely hard on those brakes where the wheels are spinning to force the wheels on the ground to actually start moving as well. Let's see that in action. Okay, so we're in the rollers. A-Track is engaged. Into drive. Letting off the brake, and it's almost immediate. You can actually feel the brakes grab and it pulls us right off. The 4Runner absolutely crushed the two-wheel slip test, but now we're going to go to the three-wheeled slip test. So both front completely stuck, both right completely stuck, only the left rear has traction. And we're going to start once again in 4 low, no special modes, no A-Track. And we're going to see, can we get unstuck in just 4 low? So we're into neutral, the vehicle is settled into the rollers. Now into drive, gonna take my foot off of the brake so you can see we're spinning, we're spinning, we're spinning, but quite honestly, not much is happening. So now what we're gonna do is engage A-Track, push the button, that's all you have to do, and it's gonna start thinking, what do I need to do to get unstuck? Oh, that was a great example of how that system works. So you get kind of this clunking sound as the brakes grab on, in this case, the right rear, force power to the left rear, and just like that, we got unstuck. It's not quite as immediate as a locking differential, and we just breezed through that test. And that's a test where a lot of vehicles get super hung up. Now this last test is going to be even harder. It's going to be one wheel in the front on the ground, and typically this is almost a darn near impossibility for a lot of vehicles. We're going to go into drive. We're going to go 4 low, A-Track off, and let's see what happens. So wheels are spinning, applying some throttle. They're just spinning faster. They're spinning faster and faster and faster. Yeah, there's not a lot going on, but as soon as we push this A-Track button, I'm hoping with not a lot of difficulty, we're gonna get unstuck like that. Let's see what happens. So out of the accelerator, you can hear that noise, and just like that, we got unstuck. I mean, in a matter of maybe under a second even from a little bit more accelerator, the system engages and it clamps down on, in this case, the brake it needed to clamp down on, which was the right front. It forced wheel speed to the left front and we got unstuck. This system is incredible. Let's see how it works in the real world. Now I've got my buddy in crime here next to me, Blaze. How you doing, Blazy? Yeah, you're being a good boy. So the first thing we're going to do is go to low range and then try the trenches course without 8-track. So we're just going to kind of try driving up as you would normally. So we're dug in here, and what's going to happen now is we're going to get very articulated. That right front's going to lift up off the ground. I'm going to take this really slow on purpose to make it as hard as possible on the Toyota. So there we go, it's pretty good articulation, but it's going to get steeper up here toward the top, and we're going to keep taking it super slow. And various wheels are starting to spin now. So I'm applying accelerator. You see wheels are spinning, but we're just not going anywhere. Now to get through this, what I can do is basically cheat. I can use some momentum, you know, I can basically plow my way through this, but this is very hard on the vehicle. It's very hard on the course, it's very hard on the terrain. You're spinning up tires, and ultimately, you're probably just gonna get stuck. So what we're gonna do is back down and then try the Toyota 8-track system and see what the difference is between no 8-track and 8-track. So I'm gonna make my way back toward the bottom of the course here, just like that. Very nice. And we're gonna try again, but now with 8-track engaged. So let me push the button. The light comes on the dash. There's no special things you need to do. And we're just gonna take it super slow, just like we did before. Try to get the vehicle stuck, lifting up some tires. Now this is where we got really stuck in the Toyota, and let's see how it compares with 8-track versus without. So I'm going to stop completely, lose all momentum, start accelerating. Now that noise means that 8-track is working. It does sound a little bit like sneakers in the dryer, but I'm going to stop. This is the hardest of the ruts. We're pointed uphill, just a little bit of accelerator, and it's amazing where it'll take you. That's pretty awesome, actually. It really is an effective system. It works super well on the rollers, and it works even better out in the real world. Now that Toyota system is incredible, but it's also worth noting that other manufacturers, actually every manufacturer, has a version of traction control to help in situations like this. It's just that the Toyota system is very fast and very seamless. For example, Jeep uses a system called BLD, or brake lock differential system, and it also works extremely well. The Toyota system, in my opinion, is just a little bit better. Now the key to traction control is you want to maintain a constant RPM, a constant throttle pedal position to allow the computers to figure it out. And on the older systems, like I'm a big Land Rover guy, on the older Discovery 2s, like you'd be waiting there for a super long time until the relatively antiquated computers figured out what to do. But the Toyota system is so fast and responsive, it's not quite as good as a locking differential, but for the money savings over getting a locker, the Toyota 8-track system is really impressive. I'm very pleased with how it works. Now let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, this has been Tommy with TFL Car. We'll see you in the next video.